It has been quite a while since we had a video concerning Insurgency or Day of Infamy here on this channel. So let's have a look at what New World Interactive has been up to lately, because they have been quite busy. We'll begin with a look at one of their upcoming games, Insurgency Sandstorm. We have first reported on this almost a year ago, and it has been fairly quiet around the game for the last few months, but we finally got some new information. And those start off with bad news. The release has been pushed back from 2017 to 2018. However, they have announced a closed beta test for the end of 2017. If you haven't seen the first video about Insurgency Sandstorm or haven't heard about the game at all, let me sum it up for you. Insurgency Sandstorm will be the third installment in the Insurgency series, and unlike the original mod and the standalone release, New World Interactive decided to move away from the Source engine to the Unreal 4 engine. This new game will bring Insurgency not only to the PC, but also for the first time to the console market, namely the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And while I list some of the announced features, I put up some of the released screenshots and concept artworks for their upcoming title. Some of the confirmed features are expanded environmental scale. As you can see on the screenshots, it's going to be a bit bigger compared to the previous version, which mostly concentrated on urban close combat. Next feature that has been announced, light vehicles for transport and fire support, and new game modes designed for vehicle gameplay. As well as competitive matchmaking, a ranking system, and a new anti-cheat program, so not Valve anti-cheat this time. Improved ballistics systems, including bullet drop and travel time, have also been announced, and also interactions with the environment will be enhanced by climbing ladders and breaching doors. Though, I assume the door breaches will mostly be limited to the single-player mode. And yes, Insurgency Sandstorm will for the first time have a single-player campaign in which you play as a, quote, female Kurdish freedom fighter. Not much is known about the single-player, but they told us that you will have to escape from captivity during a sandstorm. You are being held by an organization that kind of sounds like ISIS. I'll link an article in the description down below if you want to read more on the announced single-player. I want to focus on the multiplayer right now, because that's the thing that interests me the most about this game. If more information about the single player becomes available, that will probably get a separate video. As you can see from the list of features confirmed for the multiplayer, the game might take a bold step into a new direction with the implementation of vehicles to the multiplayer. I assume they won't add tanks and other heavy vehicles to not make it into a modern day Red Orchestra. They will most likely focus on AMRAPs, Humvees and other smaller vehicles like pickup trucks, and maybe even things like a Bradley or a BMP or BTR. But I assume those would be the heaviest things possible. Tanks like an Abrams or T-55 or T-72 would be a bit too much for this kind of game. Another interesting feature will be the up to 4-player co-op missions. Hopefully they will be a bit more interesting than the current co-op games against bots, cause that's just slaughtering wave after wave of idiotic bots charging at you from different directions while you try to cap or destroy objectives. A feature probably most interesting to console players will be the announced split screen mode. I'm curious how that will be implemented, and if it's a console exclusive thing. So in conclusion, I must say Insurgency Sandstorm sounds like a project with great ambitions, and I have great expectations. But as always when it comes to announced features for upcoming games, ask no questions and you will be told no lies. That's a quote from Dickens' Great Expectations. And with that historic quote, we'll roll back in time to the Second World War, because the standalone version of Day of Infamy got some updates as well. Several new maps were added, the British Army was added as a playable fraction, and I got my favorite German gun of the Second World War, the FG-42, or Fallschirmjägergewehr 42. Ah, brilliant, I can even put a scope on it, and I can even use the bipod when I have the scope attached. Back in Day of Defeat you always had to choose bipod or scope, or Zielfernrohr. In general, the standalone version has more weapons available, because the new British fraction brings a lot to the table. The mod has around 15 weapons, the current version of the standalone has 35. Just like in the original Insurgency, the weapons can be modified, like you've seen with the FG-42, but of course the variety of attachments is not as large as in a modern shooter. Back then there were no Picatinny rails on 30 different sites available, but most guns can get something, and all attachments are useful. For example, the BAR can get a bipod, great thing, I use it a lot. Oh, and by the way, wanna hear a dry one? So 3 Nazis walk into a bar. One thing I have to give the creators credit for is the possibility to change the looks of your player model by joining different units in the beginning of a match. For example, the regular troops of the Wehrmacht did not use the FG-42. That gun was exclusive to paratroopers, who belonged to the Air Force. So to keep it historically correct, you can change your player model to a Fallschirmjäger. Pretty nice. One of the best maps added so far is the remake of DoD Avalanche. The map is significantly larger to fit the playstyle of Day of Infamy, but you can still get nostalgia around the core of the map. Well, my opinion is a bit biased here. It might not be the best map, I just love DoD Avalanche a lot. Oh, and there's also a lovely remake of DoD Donner in the workshop. Looks amazing. I'm a great fan of the Panther replacing the Tiger. You should definitely give it a look. It looks gorgeous and the gameplay is pretty fun. It's very close to the original from Day of Defeat. I think that's enough for today with our little update on Day of Infamy and Insurgency. And I know this came up a few times in the comments lately. Yes, I have heard about Days of War. And yes, I will give it a look. I heard they have a cool DoD Donner remake as well, so I have to give it a look. Days of War is supposed to be a bit closer to the original Day of Defeat than Day of Infamy, cause Day of Infamy in its core is still a hardcore shooter. Days of War goes down a bit more classic path, so that's going to be definitely interesting to me. So see you guys next time. Till then, I'd like to hear your opinion on the games discussed today. Have you played them? And if so, which one have you enjoyed the most? The World War II scenario or the modern day conflicts? Tell us your opinions in the comment section down below. So then, have a nice day, and as always, goodbye and guten Tag.